Hey everybody, welcome to Curtis Reacts. Today we're reacting to Jordan Peterson. If you're new to this, if you haven't seen me before, the basic premise of what I'm looking for in this is that I think that spiritual stuff or slash religious slash Christian stuff should make sense. It should be rationally understandable and it should be good. Stuff that is genuinely spiritual should make sense and it should be good. You should be able to tell whether or not I think it is real. It's morally admirable. And I see where you're going with that. I see how you got to where you're getting to. If you had to classify what my beliefs are, like who I am, I would say you could call me a Swedenborgian Christian. Check out my other channel, Off the Left Eye, where I have more than 1,000 videos explaining my worldview in detail. Okay, Jordan Peterson. I'll give you a little bit on how much I know of him. I haven't read any of his books. I have seen some YouTube videos of his. I've seen the little clips everyone's seen of him, like, what about this? Gotcha. But I've watched some longer videos of his, so I know a moderate amount of him. I wouldn't say that I'm like an enthusiast, and I wouldn't say who's this Jordan Peterson? This clip is called Dr. Peterson, Dr. Peterson on his belief in God. I am interested because Jordan Peterson, from what I understand, he's like kind of in the religion world and kind of out of it. He doesn't come from religion, meaning like he started his career as he's a professor somewhere in Toronto, I think. And yet, man, I know that he's got this lecture series on the books in Genesis, which I haven't seen. So I've got to get around to that. But he's talking about how they're actually psychological stories about, which is very Swedenborgian. So I'm interested, what's he going to say? Because if you just had like a regular Christian guy, he'd probably just say, yes, I believe in God. What's he going to say? And I'm also curious, does he believe in God? Here we go.
Do I believe in God?
That's the question.
I don't like that question. People have complained at me a lot, and I'm sure they have their reasons because they don't like my answers, you know, and I have two answers. They've kind of become stock, which is not a good thing.
I like that. I do know people that I start to watch a lot online, you end up having a couple of canned responses to things. I catch myself doing that sometimes, even in my micro little world on YouTube. Oh yeah, I just say the same thing over and over. So I like he's addressing that. People are complaining they don't like his answers. Am I gonna like your answers?
I can't figure out why I don't like the question exactly. I had three sort of burgeoning hypotheses. One was, it's none of your damn business.
I swear. He did the swear. Okay, I don't like the question because it's none of your business. Nah, it is my business. I want to know. You're a public intellectual. What's going on with you?
That's the first one. So it's like a privacy issue. Like it seemed to me to be a question that was too private to be answered properly. And so, and you know, you could consider that a cop-out, and maybe it is. And then another one was, well, what do you mean by believe? Like, do you mean the words?
Okay, I like where this is going. That's true. What are you talking about when you ask that? What does it mean? Okay, let's hear. What is belief?
Is what you believe what you say or what you act out? Now, you know, I would say to some degree it's both, but if push comes to shove, as far as I'm concerned, what you believe is what you act out, not what you say.
Ooh, I wonder if he's read Swedenborg. Because I know he's into Carl Jung, and Carl Jung is well documented as having read quite a lot of Swedenborg and that had an influence on him. But that is a very, yes, which is it to say, I believe in fairness. But yet, when you're in the store, you cut in line. Do you? So it seems like he's saying, yes, belief is intellectual assent, and verbalizing that means something, but how do you act? Hey, I'm on board with that.
And then, you know, and if you're an integrated person, then what you act out and what you say are the same thing, and then you're a person whose word can be trusted.
If you're an integrated person, what you believe and what you say are the same thing. You know where integration happens, according to Swedenborg? After you die. Swedenborg talks about this whole spiritual world. After your body dies, you go to this place. It's called the world of spirits. Heaven, which is a state of mind, is above. Hell, which is a state of mind, is below. And in the world of spirits, you become integrated, where what's going on in your heart becomes what you say.
What you say and what you do are isomorphic. They're the same thing. But belief is instantiated in action. So I have also suggested that I act as if I believe in God, or to the best of my ability. And people aren't very happy with that either, but...
Why aren't you happy with that? He's saying, I act as if I believe in God. And I don't know what the specifics of that would mean to him, because some people believe in God and act in a way where I'm going to go and kill you because you don't believe in God in the same way that I do. So I'd be curious what those actions are, but I'm not mad at that definition. I act as if I believe in God.
And then the third is that I afraid that he might exist, which I think is the most comical of the three answers and perhaps the most accurate one. But then I was thinking about this today when I was thinking about what I might talk to you guys about, and I thought, well, let's go into this a little bit more. Let's say you do believe in God. You say, I believe in God. It's like, okay, well, that's hypothetically pretty impressive, I would say. It's like you believe that there's a divine power that oversees everything, that is fundamentally ethical, that's watching everything you do, and you believe that. And so what effect does that have on your behavior if you believe it? Well, are you all in on your beliefs? Are you sacrificing everything to this transcendent entity that you proclaim belief in? Have you cleansed yourself of all your sin, let's say? Are you making all the sacrifices that you need to make? Like, have you taken the mote out of your eye?
That's pretty clean. I believe in God. Well, okay, you do? Does that mean you're... And then he lists what that is. And part of that is, he says, cleansed yourself of sin. What I understand that to be, and I think this is what he's saying it is like, are you checking your behaviors? Are you looking inside yourself and seeing where am I doing things against ethics as you best understand them, and I'm not going to do them? Okay, that's what it is to believe in God. I think that everybody has states. He says, are you all in? I think that we all have varying states of belief in God throughout the day. There's times I notice in myself where usually around 9 in the morning, where I feel like, yeah, dude, I can feel that this is real. And what that isn't really like, I can feel that God is there, but it's this brilliance and life brought into the ethics that I understand God to be. That the most important thing in life is love, treating people well, rejecting what is harmful to those people, wanting to be led by the divine instead of be led by our own intelligence. Those things feel like, oh, they're real. They're just self-evidently superior in quality to the other things. And there's other times in the day when I'm just like, I want to see who's arguing online. And I'm not really thinking much about God at all. I'm not thinking about how God is overseeing us all. I'm just thinking sort of atheistically. Even though overall, if you asked me, I would be like, yeah, I believe in God. So he's talking about, do you believe in God all the time? And also, is God the primary thing?
And I think this is why it's bothered me to answer this question. It's like, well, what right do I have to say that, to make that claim? I believe in God. Well, what's the claim? Is that the claim that I'm a good person somehow? Because you'd think that if you believed in God, actually, like seriously, that you'd be a good person, like right now.
Hey, that's bringing some heat. That's bringing some heat. It's the separation of faith and love. This is the thing that kills churches, that killed Christianity in a sense, according to Swedenborg. Like, what is the dividing line between being a Christian or a God-believing person? There's something that I don't know if he's going to address it in the rest of this video, but there is an intellectual side to that question. It's almost like, well, are you trying to believe in God? Maybe that would be the answer. I'm trying to believe in God. Because you can say, yeah, I believe in God, but then you mess up something. You can still be saying, I'm trying to organize my life toward this principle, and I think that really is out there. There's something to that, but I'm not going to stop him. I'm not going to stop him from going in this direction, because I think this is an important thing. It's the ridiculousness of these buckets. Do you believe in God or not, based on whether you say it, rather than based on how you live your life? Okay, let's go.
Just because you make a claim...
We're standing up. This is going to get serious.
...to moral virtue, let's say, your belief in God, which I can't see how you can make a higher claim to moral virtue than that. Imagine that something like that exists, and then you swear allegiance to it, which is to say, I believe in this. I mean, there's a heavy moral burden that comes along with that, just to allow yourself to utter the words without feeling that you should be immediately struck down appropriately by lightning. And so I think that's why that question makes me uncomfortable. It's that I don't think I have a right to make that proclamation.
I like it. Well, I have one complaint about it. I don't know where, and that's obviously an excerpt from a longer lecture, so maybe in the whole thing he addresses this, but I don't know where that leaves you when you are not that good at doing all the moral stuff that God is asking you to do, but you want to try. and you say, I'm going to try to follow the omnipotent, all-knowing, all-loving divine. I'm going to try to live the life that God, who is love, is asking me to live. And that's hard. I'm not good at it, but I'm going to try because I believe that it's good. You could take what he was saying as like, unless you can go all the way and do it perfectly, don't say you believe in God. Well, I don't think you ever do it all perfectly. I think you have to divide it into, a human being has two parts. You have a mind and then you have a heart. Or you could say you have an intellect and then you have a will. The stage of believing in God happens in two parts. First, it's an intellectual thing. You learn concepts about the idea that there is a God. You learn the concepts of who God is, which is love, and what love requires of you. And then you have to start to try to change your life with those concepts. Those concepts go to war with all the other things that try to motivate us to do the opposite. All of our habits and urges and false beliefs and all that. And then the will is where the actual person is changed. I think he's talking mostly about the change of will. There is a stage where it's useful to say, I've heard that this is it, and I'm trying. Oops, I lapsed for a couple days, but now I'm back and I'm trying. That's the intellect side of it. The will is the lifelong struggle to bring yourself into correspondence, is what Swedenborg would call it, where your ideals and your life are the same. That's the hard part, and that's something that you can take a long time to do, but that's all right. So I think he's saying something valuable, but don't look at this and think, well, unless I can do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it. There is some value in at least having that intellectual side. You want to guard against stopping at the intellectual side and saying, well, because I have these concepts in my mind, it doesn't matter how I live. That's why nobody likes religious people. It's fine to start with the ideas. Just make sure that you have an aspiration, even if in practice it's difficult. Make sure you have an aspiration for the will to eventually change and for you to become that integrated person. Okay, that's it. It's the reaction of the century. Let me know in the comments what you want me to react to next. Thanks for watching. React to your loved ones today. Thanks.